Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us. Today we're going to be talking about something that's super important, and that is crucial conversations.
Ooh, I like that crucial
They
conversation.
really are, and we are actually pulling some insights from a book also called Crucial Conversations.
Oh, very nice.
But we're really trying to boil it down to the core pieces and the
Hmm.
core ideas that you can take away
Right.
and use in your life right away.
Yeah, and I think what's so fascinating about this topic is it's not just communication skills like how to talk to people, it's really about well-being.
Oh, absolutely.
It affects us so much.
Yeah, it's funny because we often think about those high stakes conversations just as stressful moments we have to get through,
Hmm.
like asking for a raise or giving someone tough feedback or addressing a conflict with a friend. But we don't always realize the the impact that those conversations can have long term.
Exactly. And it goes way beyond just feeling awkward or having a bad day.
Right.
Research has actually shown some pretty crazy connections between how we handle these conversations and our health. Like, for instance, studies have found that mismanaged conversations can weaken our immune system.
Wow.
There's even evidence linking poor communication to higher mortality rates among melanoma
Wait,
patients.
are you serious?
Yeah.
A difficult conversation could impact something as serious as a cancer diagnosis.
Yeah.
That's kind of blowing my mind a little bit.
It really highlights how deeply intertwined our mental and emotional states are with our physical health.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, it makes sense if we're constantly bottling up emotions or, feeling unheard or navigating conflict poorly,
Right.
it takes a toll
It makes
on our
sense.
bodies.
Yeah, for sure.
In our
Over time. So, okay, point taken. These conversations are seriously crucial. But why is it that so many of us struggle with them?
Yeah,
It seems like we have the best of intentions going in, but then things just go sideways.
right.
What's happening there?
Well, I think part of it is our own biology. We're wired for survival, and when the stakes feel high, our brains go into that primal fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
It's like, our ancient ancestors facing down a saber-tooth tiger,
Right.
eloquence
Right.
isn't really top of mind.
Not the first thing you're thinking about.
Right.
Yeah, I can relate to that. It's like all logic goes out the window when you just feel threatened or cornered or
Yeah,
put on
totally.
the spot.
Yeah, suddenly, that carefully planned conversation goes out the window, and we're left with, defensiveness or aggression or just shutting down completely.
Yeah.
And it all kind of boils down to this struggle to create what's called a shared pool of meaning.
Okay. Shared pool of meaning. I'm intrigued. Break that down for me.
So imagine a conversation, like a potluck dinner.
Okay. I like where this is going.
Everyone brings their own dish, their
Mhm.
perspectives, their information, their feelings, and they contribute to this overall, feast.
Yeah.
And when we can create that shared space, everyone feels heard and understood, and we can actually work together toward a solution.
Okay, I love that analogy. So the problem is we often show up at this conversational potluck with our defenses up,
Yes.
guarding our dish, or maybe
Mhm.
even trying to steal someone else's.
Exactly. And that's when we get trapped in what's called the sucker's choice.
Sucker's choice. That sounds a little ominous.
It is. It's this sneaky mental trap that makes us believe we only have two bad options.
Okay.
Like, we think we can either be honest and risk damaging the relationship, or we can stay silent and sacrifice our own needs.
Oh, I've so been there.
Right.
Like, I can think of a time where I was dreading giving feedback to a coworker because I didn't want to come across as harsh
Right.
or ruin our dynamic.
Yeah.
And I felt so stuck.
That's a perfect example of the sucker's choice.
Mhm.
It convinces us we have to choose between honesty or harmony speaking up or our keeping the peace.
Yeah.
But the real key is to reject that false dilemma altogether.
So how do we escape that trap?
We look for the A and D.
The A&D.
Instead of seeing it as an either, we need to get creative and find a way to be both honest, A&D, respectful, assertive, A&D, kind.
I love that.
It's not always easy,
Yeah.
but it is possible.
So it's like finding that sweet spot where everyone's needs and perspectives can coexist.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we actually make that happen, especially when emotions are running high?
Yeah. That's where understanding the power of our own stories comes into play.
Okay, stories, you've got my attention. I'm a sucker for a good story.
Me too.
What do stories have to do with crucial conversations, though?
Well, you know how the same situation can trigger totally different reactions in different people?
Yeah.
Like, one person might get furious over a minor inconvenience while another person barely bats an eye.
Totally.
It all comes down to the stories we're telling ourselves about what's happening.
So it's not just the event itself,
Yeah.
it's our interpretation of it.
Exactly.
that shapes our emotional response.
Let's say your boss gives you some critical feedback.
Okay.
You could instantly jump to the conclusion that they're out to get you, leading to defensiveness and resentment, or you could see it as an opportunity for growth and improvement, even if it's delivered in a way you don't love.
So we're all essentially directing our own inner movies,
Yeah.
complete with like dramatic soundtracks and special effects.
And we have the power to choose a more empowering and productive narrative.
I like that.
We can ask ourselves, is there another way to look at this situation? What assumptions am I making? Is this story truly serving me?
Wow, that's powerful. So mastering our stories is all about taking charge of our emotions and choosing more helpful narratives.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the other person in the conversation? How do we make it safe for them to open up and share their story?
Yeah, that's where we move from focusing on our internal stories to creating a sense of safety in the external dialogue.
Makes sense because I can imagine walking into a crucial conversation when things are already tense can feel like navigating a minefield.
Absolutely. It's crucial to establish safety before diving into the content.
Okay.
And that boils down to two essential conditions: mutual purpose and mutual respect.
Okay, I'm sensing a theme here. Mutual purpose, mutual respect. Those sound like more than just feel-good buzzwords.
They're absolutely foundational. Mutual purpose means that both people involved need to believe they're working towards a common goal, not just trying to win or force their view on the other person.
So it's like finding that common ground, that shared objective that makes both people want to collaborate
Exactly.
and find a solution that works for everyone.
And mutual respect means that each person feels valued and heard, even if there's disagreement.
Right.
Without that respect, dialogue breaks down entirely.
Yeah.
It's the glue that holds the whole conversation together.
I'm starting to see how these pieces fit together without that sense of shared purpose and respect. It's
Yeah.
easy to fall into those fight or flight reactions we talked about earlier.
Mhm.
It's like trying to build a house on a shaky foundation. It's
Yeah.
just not going to hold up.
That's a great analogy. And just like building a house requires specific tools and techniques,
Right.
so does creating safety in a crucial conversation.
Okay, let's get practical. What are some tools we can use to make sure those conversations are built on solid ground?
Well, one powerful tool is a sincere apology.
Okay.
If you've messed up, owning your part can go a long way in rebuilding trust and showing respect. It's not about admitting defeat or taking all the blame, but about acknowledging the impact your actions had on the other person.
So it's like saying, hey, I see how I contributed to this situation and I'm committed to making things right.
Exactly.
That takes courage, but I can see how it would totally shift the energy.
Absolutely. Another helpful skill is called contrasting.
Contrasting.
This involves clarifying your intentions by stating what you don't mean as well as what you do mean.
Okay, give me an example.
So let's say you need to give feedback to a teammate about their performance. You might start by saying something like, I don't want you to think I'm unhappy with your work overall. You bring so much to the team. However, I'm concerned about.
Oh, so you're preemptively addressing any potential misinterpretations and ensuring that your message is received in the right spirit.
It's like you're creating this safety net
Yeah.
to catch any potential misunderstandings
Exactly.
before they snowball.
And then there's one of the most effective frameworks for finding mutual purpose, the SRIBS skill set.
SRIB, okay, tell me more about this acronym. It sounds like something I need in my life.
It stands for commit, recognize, invent, and brainstorm.
All right, I'm ready to unpack this SRIB. What does each step involve?
So first, you can commit to staying in the conversation until you find a solution that works for everyone involved.
Okay,
This means setting aside any desire to win or dominate
we're right.
and focusing on true collaboration.
Powerful commitment there.
Next, you recognize the purpose behind each person's strategy.
Okay,
This involves asking questions and listening deeply
right.
to understand the underlying needs and motivations that are driving their behavior.
So it's about going beyond those surface level arguments and getting to the heart of what each person truly wants.
Exactly. When you understand the why behind the what,
Yeah.
it becomes so much easier to find that common ground. Makes sense. And what about the I in CRIB?
The I stands for invent.
Okay.
Sometimes those initial purposes might seem totally incompatible.
Right.
So you need to get creative and invent a mutual purpose that goes beyond those individual goals.
Now that sounds like a challenge. How do you go about inventing a purpose that everyone can get behind?
It takes some out-of-the-box thinking and a willingness to reframe the situation. Maybe you focus on a longer-term goal that you both share,
Right.
or appeal to some core values that you both hold dear.
So it's about finding that higher ground, that overarching objective
exactly.
that can bring everyone together.
And finally, you brainstorm new strategies to achieve that shared purpose.
Okay.
This is all about generating ideas and solutions without judgment or criticism, exploring every avenue until you find that path forward that meets everyone's needs.
This C-RIB concept is amazing. It feels like a totally new way to approach those challenging conversations where people just seem to be coming from completely different places.
Yeah, it really can transform a potentially explosive conversation into a collaborative problem-solving session.
And that's what we're ultimately aiming for, right? Not about winning or losing, but about finding solutions that work for everyone.
Absolutely. But remember, these skills, like any new skill, take time and effort to master.
Practice makes progress, right?
Exactly. The more you practice these techniques, the more natural and effective they'll become.
This has been incredibly eye-opening already. We've uncovered why crucial conversations matter so much, why we often trip up, and most importantly, some really tangible strategies for handling them with more grace and skill.
And the thing is, these insights we've discussed are just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh,
There's a whole world of knowledge and techniques out there to help us level up our communication game.
it's almost like we've been given this secret decoder ring for understanding and navigating these tricky conversations.
I like that.
We've only just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
We'll be back in a moment with even more insights to help you unlock the potential of crucial conversations. Stay tuned.
You know, so far we've been focusing a lot on those external aspects of these conversations, like creating that safe space, expressing ourselves clearly,
Right.
and really understanding the other person's perspective.
Yeah.
But there's a whole other dimension that I think we need to explore, and that's the internal game.
You're talking about mindset, right?
Exactly.
That inner world that can either help us sail through these conversations or totally sabotage our efforts.
Totally. It's about shifting from a reactive, fear-based mindset to a more proactive and intentional approach.
Right.
And, we've already touched on escaping the sucker's choice and learning to master the stories we tell ourselves.
Right.
But there's more.
Okay.
We need to master our mindset as a whole.
Okay. I'm seeing a pattern here, mastering our stories,
Right.
mastering our mindset. It's all about taking control of those internal levers
Yes.
that can either make or break a conversation.
Exactly. And a great place to start is by understanding our own style under stress.
Style, under stress. Now that rings a bell. Refresh my memory. What exactly does that mean?
It's all about recognizing our default patterns when we feel threatened or under pressure.
Yeah.
Do we tend to withdraw and avoid conflict? Do we become aggressive and try to dominate, or do we, try to control the situation through manipulation?
Oh, right. It's like our go-to move when things get heated.
Exactly.
I talked about that earlier with the fight or flight response, either clamming up or going on the attack.
Exactly. And the key is to become aware of those patterns so we can catch ourselves in the act
Okay.
and consciously choose a different path, even when our instincts are screaming at us to do otherwise.
I can already see how this is a game changer, because if we're not even aware of our own tendencies, it's like we're driving with a blindfold on.
Right.
No wonder we end up in a ditch.
Yeah, it's all about self-awareness.
Right.
That's the foundation
Yeah.
for growth and transformation in any area of life, but especially when it comes to communication.
So, okay, step one is recognizing our style under stress. What else can we do to kind of shift our mindset from that reactive place to a more proactive stance?
Well, one incredibly powerful strategy is to create cues and reminders.
Cues and reminders. I like where this is going. Tell me more.
So think of it like building in those little nudges to help you stay on track when things start to get intense.
Okay.
It could be something as simple as a visual prompt, like a sticky note on your computer
Uh-huh.
with a single word like SRIB, or maybe it's a mental checklist you review before you go into a challenging conversation.
That's brilliant. It's like giving ourselves those little reminders like, hey, remember to breathe.
Exactly.
Remember to make it safe. Remember to listen.
Exactly. It's about proactively building in that support system for ourselves.
It's like having our own personal hype team cheering us on from the sidelines.
Love it. And another often overlooked tactic is the power of going public with your commitment to improve.
Going public, you mean like telling people I'm working on my crucial conversational skills?
Exactly. It could be as simple as mentioning it to your colleagues or your friends or family.
Okay.
Hey, I'm really focusing on improving how I handle those tough conversations.
That does feel a little vulnerable,
It is.
but I can definitely see how it would create accountability.
It's incredibly powerful. When we make that public declaration, we're far more likely to follow through. Plus, it invites support from others who might be on a similar journey.
Right. And maybe even some gentle reminders if they see us slipping back into those old patterns. It's like having a whole cheering section rooting for us.
Exactly. It helps to create this culture of open communication and support, which is so valuable in those moments when we might be tempted to give up or revert to our old ways.
So we've covered so much ground understanding the weight of these conversations,
Hmm.
recognizing those patterns that can trip us up, and learning those practical skills to create safety, express ourselves clearly,
Right.
and really understand the other person's perspective.
Yes.
But it all circles back to this idea of mindset, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Choosing to approach these conversations with intention and like proactive stance.
That's the real key. It's about shifting our perspective from seeing these conversations as threats to seeing them as opportunities.
Right.
Opportunities to build stronger connections, make more informed decisions, and ultimately to create the kind of life we want to live.
I love that it's so easy to get caught up in the fear and the anxiety surrounding these conversations.
Yeah.
But when we can reframe them as opportunities for growth and positive change, it's like a whole new world opens up.
Absolutely. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination.
Right.
There will be times when we stumble, when we fall back into those old patterns.
Yeah.
But the key is to keep practicing, keep learning, and keep striving to become the best communicators we can be.
That's such a helpful reminder. It's not about being perfect. It's
Yeah.
about that continuous improvement.
Exactly. And each conversation, every interaction becomes a chance to refine our skills,
Right.
deepen our understanding, and strengthen those relationships that matter most.
Well said. Yeah, we've talked a lot about like the how-to of crucial conversations,
Hmm.
but I'm curious, what are some of the biggest misconceptions you encounter about this topic?
That's a great question. One of the most common misconceptions is that crucial conversations are only about negative or confrontational topics.
I can totally see why people might think that the word crucial itself sounds a bit heavy and intense,
Right.
but that's not the whole picture, is it?
No, not at all. The truth is, a crucial conversation can be about any topic where the stakes are high, emotions are strong, and opinions might differ.
Okay.
It could be a conversation about a new business opportunity or a change in family plans or even, a passionate discussion about a shared hobby.
So it's not so much about the subject matter itself,
Hmm.
but more about the level of importance and intensity surrounding it.
Exactly. Another misconception is that people who excel at these conversations are just naturally gifted communicators.
Ah, the myth of the smooth talker. That person who can just effortlessly persuade anyone of anything. I'm guessing that's not quite the reality.
Not even close. Mastering crucial conversations is a skill, not a talent.
Okay.
It takes effort, practice, and a commitment to learning and growth.
So it's something that anyone can develop, regardless of their personality or their natural communication style.
Absolutely. It's all about learning and applying those techniques and strategies we've been discussing.
Right.
It's not some magical ability to charm or manipulate people.
That's so encouraging to hear it. I mean,
Yeah.
we all have the potential to become more skillful and effective in these high-stakes situations.
Exactly. And it's a journey worth taking.
Yeah.
The ability to have productive, crucial conversations can transform our relationships, our careers, and our overall quality of life.
It's like we've been given this superpower, the power to navigate conflict constructively,
I love that.
build understanding, and create positive change in the world around us.
And the best part is it's a superpower that's available to anyone who's willing to put in the effort.
So if you could give one piece of advice to someone who's just starting to like dip their toes into the world of crucial conversations, what would it be?
I would say start with yourself.
Okay.
Become aware of your own patterns, your style. Under stress, the stories you tell yourself.
That makes perfect sense. We can't change what we don't understand.
Exactly. Once you have a clearer understanding of your own internal landscape, then you can start to apply those external skills we've been discussing.
So it's a process of both inner and outer work.
Mm-hmm.
Self-awareness combined with skill building.
Precisely. And remember, be patient with yourself. It takes time and practice to master these skills.
This has been such an insightful dive so far.
Good.
We've really uncovered that hidden power of crucial conversations, debunked some of those common myths,
Mm-hmm.
and most importantly, explored some practical strategies for becoming more skillful and effective communicators.
And it's important to remember that this is an ongoing process.
You mean
It's not a one-time event. Every conversation, every interaction presents an opportunity to practice and refine these skills. It's a lifelong journey of growth and discovery.
I love that It's not about reaching some mythical state of perfection,
Mm-hmm.
but about that continuous evolution.
Yes.
As communicators, always learning, always growing.
Exactly. And as we become more skillful in handling those high stakes conversations, we create this ripple effect of positive change in our own lives and in the lives of those around us.
Well said. Now, we've explored a lot of ground today, but I know there's always more to uncover when it comes to like the intricate world of human communication.
Right.
It's a fascinating and ever-evolving landscape.
It is. That's what keeps it so interesting.
We'll be back in a moment to wrap up our deep dive into crucial conversations with some final thoughts and a challenge to take with you on your communication journey. Stay
Yeah.
tuned. Welcome back to wrap up our deep dive into crucial conversations. It's been amazing so far. We've uncovered, why these interactions are so powerful and how we can kind of become more skillful at navigating those really tricky, high-stakes moments. But before we wrap up, I want to hear your thoughts on something that we haven't explicitly addressed yet.
Yeah. What's that?
Well, we've talked about the impact of these conversations, like on our relationships, our careers, and even our physical well-being.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about like the broader impact on our overall quality of life.
Oh, that's such a good point.
Mm.
And it is something that I think often gets overlooked. We tend to focus so much on the immediate situation, right? The conflict that's right in front of us,
Right.
that we don't always see that these conversations have a ripple effect that extend way beyond just that one interaction.
Right. It's not just about putting out the fire in the moment.
Yeah.
It's about the potential for those flames to either like spread and cause damage or to be used to create something new and beautiful.
I love that analogy. Yeah, you think about it, when we handle these conversations poorly, it creates this breeding ground for stress and resentment and damaged relationships.
Right.
And that negativity, it doesn't just disappear, it seeps into other areas of our lives.
Yeah.
It impacts our work, our health, our sense of joy and fulfillment.
It's like a toxin that slowly poisons the well of our happiness.
Totally.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, when we master these conversations, we unlock this potential for positive transformation.
Right.
We build trust, we strengthen connections, and we find constructive solutions to even the most challenging conflicts.
Yeah.
And that positivity has a ripple effect too.
Right.
It flows outward and creates, a more harmonious and fulfilling life experience.
That's such a beautiful way to put it. It's like we're choosing between a life filled with poison or a life filled with like this nourishing, life-giving energy.
Mm-hmm.
And that choice is in our hands.
It is.
One conversation at a time.
I love that imagery. And it's not just about those big dramatic confrontations,
Sure.
It's about those everyday interactions,
Yeah.
those seemingly small moments that actually shape the fabric of our lives.
So it's about bringing that same level of awareness and intentionality
Yes.
to all of our communication, whether we're negotiating a major business deal or just having a casual conversation with a friend.
Exactly. It's about making a conscious choice to show up as our best selves in every interaction,
Mm-hmm.
big or small.
This is so empowering.
Yeah.
It means we have the power to create a more positive and fulfilling life, one conversation at a time.
And that power comes from, a combination of knowledge, skills, and a commitment to continuous improvement.
Well said.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, what is one final challenge you'd like to leave our listeners with today? I would say this: pick one conversation, one relationship where you want to make a positive change.
Okay.
Commit to applying the principles and the skills that we've talked about today.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be this huge dramatic shift,
Right.
Just a small step in the right direction.
It could be a conversation you've been avoiding or a relationship that's feeling strained, or maybe just like a desire to become a more skillful and compassionate communicator in general.
Exactly. Choose something that truly matters to you, something that will have a tangible impact on your life.
And remember, it's not about perfection.
Yes.
It's about progress. Don't get discouraged if you stumble or if you, find yourself falling back into those old patterns.
Yeah.
It's all part of the process.
Yeah. The key is to keep practicing, keep learning, and keep striving to become, the most authentic and effective communicator you can be.
This has been such an inspiring and insightful deep dive into crucial conversations.
It has.
We've uncovered why they're so important, explored, those common pitfalls that trip us up, and most importantly, learn those practical strategies for navigating these conversations with greater skill, grace, and confidence.
And as you embark on this journey of communication mastery,
Yes.
remember you're not alone.
Yes.
There are tons of resources, communities out there
Yeah.
to support you every step of the way.
We'll be sure to share some of those resources in the show notes, and we encourage you to connect with others who are also on this path of growth and transformation.
Because together we can create a world where, crucial conversations are no longer something we dread,
Right.
but something that we embrace as opportunities for connection, growth, and positive change.
Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible deep dive.
Thank you.
Until next time, keep practicing those crucial conversation skills and keep striving to create a more positive and fulfilling life, one conversation at a time.